If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home. Yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? Thank you for tuning in again to the STL Bucket List Show. I'm back. I haven't been on an episode in a while because I've been busy at work. So it's nice to be back in the space with my husband, Luke.
Guys, I'm your other host, Luke Farrell. We have missed Marissa the last couple of weeks. School's been busy. But I got to thank Half Coast in the back, Matt, on the ones and twos, cutting up a perfect episode to put out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And we've been growing. So we just want to continue to grow the show and support St. Louis and the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. I'm wearing their shirt today. Guys, support local art, support local businesses. The Regional Arts Commission is the largest funder of public arts and artists in St. Louis. Did you know
Facts.
that?
I knew it. I think I did know that.
So we got a very special guest today, a friend of mine, chef, entrepreneur, father, husband, businessman,
Friend.
This guy works more than anybody. I mean, I was over at one of your restaurants the other day, and like, you're just talking about businesses that you want to start in the neighborhood. So Ben Poremba, everybody welcome in to the show. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, man, we're excited to have you.
You know what I'm excited about?
What?
I talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
And when I talk to Luke, I talk to him sometimes hours, right? We'll just sit and shoot the shit for hours and hours. But I never got a chance to talk to you.
That's right.
So I'm excited to talk to your wife today.
Yes.
You can take water breaks.
Yeah, you know, me and Ben are going to kick it today.
We're gonna kick it
We
today.
actually don't need you. You can get out right now.
I mean, I'm good, man. I need a break, but no, yeah, man. I agree. You know, just the other day we were over at Olio, just talking about wedding venues, hotels, businesses. But
yeah, we just talk.
You know, and it's I get motivated, I get inspired. So I want to kind of go back in the day. You know, like Ben Poremba. I don't even know how old you are now, but we can go way back in the day. Mm-hmm. He said, "Don't even start."
We're going.
But like, where? Tell us about your childhood. Tell us about your family. I mean,
you really want to know all that?
I do.
Yeah, just give us. You don't have to. I mean, as much as you want to share, just your upbringing.
No, I'll share everything.
Yeah.
So I was born in Israel, and I moved here when I was 16 years old, and right before my 17th birthday, my dad took a job here. Actually, right here in Creve Coeur.
Okay.
So this is my stomping grounds. I mean, I know this area real well. Matter of fact, last night I took my son. He does basketball practice at the Shriners, not too far away from here. And I took him to see the house that I moved into when we first moved here. And I took him to see my high school because I went to high school here.
What high school?
Parkway North.
Oh, I teach at Parkway Central.
How about that?
Look at that.
And it was kind of weird for me because, you know, I could answer this question, right? I can say I grew up here. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, I started college, moved back to Israel for a couple of years, and then moved back. So, yeah, I mean, St. Louis was kind of you know, it's my home. But early on, it was spotty. I didn't really like it. I didn't want to stay here. Mm-hmm. But you know, once I fell in love with it, and it was it. So, yeah, grew up in Israel in a small little town just south of Tel Aviv, if you're familiar. Mm-hmm. Very kind of middle class, you know, growing up, nothing too wild. No rags to riches story here, no drama. I had great family. Parents who instilled in me the love of others, the love of hospitality. I talk a lot about how my parents are natural, even though they never really owned restaurants. My mom was in the food business, but they're natural hospitality professionals. Like just throwing a dinner party at home was an occasion, and they did a lot of that. Instilled in me the love for other people and other cultures, this inquisitive mind of constantly instead of being afraid from someone who doesn't look like me, who doesn't speak my language, who doesn't, share the same kind of background. The contrary, like I was naturally interested in people like that. And so I made friends early on with just everyone and and that's all because of my parents. So.
Did you have like a culture shock when you moved? Because when you moved here when you were 17, like obviously the Midwest is a lot different than.
Oh man, you have no idea the culture shock I've had.
Especially high school and you were in like Creve Corps.
So I'm in high school, exactly. I didn't speak English, just mind that. And girls look different.
Yeah.
Better?
I don't know if better. Better, different is better when you're that age. when you're 16.
Right.
Now it was very different. Now the world is much closer. Social media, you kind of know everything. If you go to Israel, it's not that different. People kind of have the same mannerisms a lot of nowadays. People dress the same. But back in the day, I mean, we're talking 27 years ago. Now you can make the math of how old I am. It was different. Yeah, it was definitely a different culture, different interests, different TV shows, different, I showed up with my big old, I had a big ponytail and I wore tight clothes and you could tell I was a foreigner. I mean, there was no.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you stick out you stuck out a lot at your high school?
For sure.
Because my school is very diverse.
Right now.
And I don't know how it was, however long.
Yeah,
when you were in school. But it's really nice. And I appreciate that, just, being biracial and two races and looking at my class. And I'm like, we got a little bit of everything in all of my classes.
I love it.
And I love that. And that's good for the kids.
Yeah, it's absolutely good for the kids. Matter of fact, Angela and I moved to where we are now because we wanted a school that was a lot more diverse, and so that played a big role in our move. But at that time, yes, I mean the school was diverse, but I still stood out because I just, I'm just an extrovert. I'm an extrovert. I didn't speak any English. I was, and here's the funny thing: I was into things that most American kids really weren't into at that time, fashion.
Yeah.
I was big time into fashion. I was into cooking.
Right.
Like those were not things that, a 16-year-old boy should have been into, but this is the stuff
It might have been like sports and cars or whatever, in the Midwest.
So
you're ahead of your time. So where did you meet Ange? Where did you meet her?
Angela.
Yeah, Angela.
Don't call her Angie.
Okay.
Don't call her Ange.
No nicknames.
No nicknames. She's Angela. She's an angel.
Yeah.
I met her, how many years are we together now? 15, 16 years. So, no, I met, the story is not crazy. We met at an event at Westwood Country Club and, it was, again, a tough start. And, but here we are, all these years later. And many people don't know, and I'll share this with you. Angela and I never got married. And we have a family. For all intents and purposes, we are a husband and wife, but we never actually got married. It has to do with the fact that we were both married before, and when we met, we were fresh divorcees. And when we started talking, when Angela moved in, she looked at me and she said, "I really like." It was a cutesy kind of talk. Hey, I really don't want to get married just yet. I'm scarred. And I said, well, that's my philosophy. If we get to be with one another for 10 years and stand each other for 10 years, then we can talk about marriage. Sure enough, when it was about 10 years of us being together, I proposed to her, and but we never found time to get married. That's true story. Never found time to just say, hey, we're taking this day and we're inviting people. And because I've been opening restaurants and we've had kids, and then the pandemic happened, and
building a life in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So is there a wedding? Like you don't.
Someday there'll be a wedding for sure. When we wanted to do this in May of 2020, but then pandemic happened.
Yep.
Our thing was, once our daughter was born, is that we wanted her old enough to kind of remember the occasion.
Yeah.
So,
Be a part of it.
it's just,
And then the last couple of years has just been a
yeah,
Well, you've been building.
time fog, it's so weird, So,
time does go. Like, I mean, even like, I feel like we were just here yesterday, but that was like a week ago. I mean, weeks just fly by and stuff like that. But you mentioned fashion, and I can tell by like, you're still interested in fashion. But you mentioned a story to me before, like you wanted to be a fashion designer.
Right. That's all right. That's true.
Really?
So tell us about like being a fashion designer, and then when did you decide that food was your next, or was there something?
Well, I think I was always a creative.
Yeah.
I always, was a maker. I wanted to do things that were, that involved creativity. And I was I was an early artist. I mean, I went to school. I got my degree in art as well. But fashion was really the thing that I loved. And, as a 16-year-old kid, I mean, I had pictures of fashion designers, and I subscribed to W magazine and with cutouts, and even in high school here, they had a fashion design class, which was 12 girls and Ben. It was really more like home economics. Oh, this is how you and it was really funny. But no, man, I don't know why. I just loved it. I loved fabric. I loved, looking different. I'd wear my mom's clothes. I mean, I would, not in like a way of like dressing.
But you would make it look good on you.
Yeah.
Like scarves and how
Put
you would
pieces
position-
together.
Scarves is kind of a signature thing for me. People always see me with scarves, and
I get
it's
it.
funny.
I love clothes. I appreciate clothes. I appreciate fashion. I appreciate looking good, thinking of something in your head, putting it together. That's
and it's
my
not
favorite
only,
thing.
Yeah, and it's not only like fashion. I cut hair and like all that stuff. I love that.
Right.
Just
being able to be creative with your hands. So that led to cooking, because like if you look at your food, if you guys just like look at pictures on the website or wherever, your food is your creativity now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was like, what was the process of cooking? Because like, you said your mom did it, so you probably cooked when you were younger, but like, what was your first job in the kitchen?
My first, I did like odd jobs. I was a barista when I was 17. I cooked in a kitchen when I was 18 back in Israel for those couple of years that I went back there. But my route to professional cooking is very nonlinear. It's not like, I started as a dishwasher and then I moved on to become a line cook and blah, blah, blah. For me, it was completely different, right? When I decided that's what I wanted to do, I started cooking for families. During college, I became a nanny for 3 little girls, and which meant I cooked for them. I did everything that and this was here in St. Louis, and I also cooked for that family, and I cooked well enough for the father to say, hey, we have a couple people over, could you stick around and cook dinner for us? Or, hey, we want to throw a little Christmas party, could you, do you think you can handle 25 people? And before you knew it, I cooked for another family, and now this family kind of kept kosher, and so I cooked for them, and they were very involved in the Jewish community here as far as fundraisings and all those kinds of things. And so they had like, high-end events, galas, and before you know it, I cook. I have a catering company, and I made money too.
Oh yeah.
So
that's how I started. That's how I got my start.
What was your catering company called?
Taste Fine Catering.
Okay.
I like that.
Nice. So then what was your very first business restaurant on your own? Like
that I owned would be Salumi Bedu, which was not really a restaurant. It was a business that I opened with a partner, and it was dedicated to the craft of Italian-style cured meats. This is after I'd come back from Italy, and I was really, really crazy about Italian food culture, specifically about cured meats, salami and prosciutto and these things of that nature. And we decided we were going to open this little thing, and we sold our stuff at different farmers markets, and until we had a brick and mortar down on Southampton, and then we had a little deli there, and we made some sandwiches, and that was the first thing that I owned
We're at on
myself.
Southampton.
Do you know where Need Bakery is?
Yeah, we live right around the corner.
In that space.
Oh, it's in Need Space.
in that space.
Yeah, I go there a lot. I like that
That's
spot.
like 2 minutes around the corner from us.
We're more on the
That's
closer to
crazy.
Kings Highway.
We
We're like
opened
in-
that place in 2008. So
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
I know
you
everybody.
guys were in middle school.
2008, 14.
Yeah, we were
Yeah, we
about
were 13. So, yeah,
seventh
sixth
grade.
Seventh grade, yeah. So you like everybody sees like all these restaurants, but like they don't really see like the failures in it. And as an entrepreneur myself, like I almost like love the idea of failure because I feel like failure teaches you so many lessons.
Yeah.
So like tell us about, obviously through your time you've had, you know, ups and downs, but like tell us about some of the downs and like what caused like those restaurants to either not work or maybe what caused those concepts. Like was it a you thing? Was it, you know?
You shouldn't love failure. Let's start there. It's not, don't glorify failure. But should it happen in any of your ventures, at least make the best out of it, right? But I don't, you know, I've been through failure. It's no fun, right? It's no fun for you, and it's no fun for the people around you, your family, your employees, your friends. So, but once you experience failure, then it's humbling, and there's many lessons. And I failed. I say this openly. Many of the failures have to do with, you know, direct, just judgment calls, bad judgment calls on my part. Many of them were just circumstances were beyond my control. There's different reasons, right? But the important thing is that it is humbling, and it does make you a little stronger if you really analyze it and break it down and you know, and face it, confront it, as opposed to just try to ignore it or walk away from it or deny it or say, oh, it wasn't me, it was just, you know, outside factors and circumstances. So
yeah, I think like what I meant, like instead of loving failure, I think loving the lessons like that you can earn, because each time something happens, that's a lesson in your book that you can say, okay, now I know what to do now, and you just get better and better with time.
But that's also true with successes, right? So it's true with everything. And what I mean by that is it's a mindset of seeing everything that happens and everything that you do as an opportunity for learning. And if you have that mindset, then I think that you're gonna succeed more than you're not. But it's not about also about you know business success. It's about just mental well-being, emotional well-being. That you are okay with bumps, and you are okay with you know with things that happen to you along the way that you might not anticipate or you might not want. And the mindset is, let it come at me, and I'll deal with that, and I'll learn from it, hopefully, and I become a better person, become a better businessman, become a better whatever. So there's a little bit of that Zen,
right?
You know, and I've had to work on myself pretty significantly over the years to get there, to be in that mindset. And once you're in that mindset, I have to say it's liberating.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So Ben, you said you're excited to talk to me, but I'm excited to talk to you because we've only gotten to interact a couple times. And that was at your 10-year party. We're going to get to that in a second. But
Okay.
I want to address, you know, because you've influenced Luke a lot, and I think he looks up to you, and it's good for him to have just someone who, he always says, like, I want someone who's been where I've been. And so that's funny. Ben, play on words there. But you've built something. And so it's nice to see that he's inspired by you as, you know, a role model. And so I see how you engage with people who, whenever I'm at AO&Co, and just, you know, you're checking in with the customers, you're talking, you're friendly with, you know, all of your staff, and you get business done. And so what advice would you give to an entrepreneur who is wanting, you know, just advice on how to be successful? And
Well, that's a loaded question, right?
Yes.
But I think we touched on it a little previously about the idea of being open to learning.
yeah.
By the way, I'm inspired by Luke too, and I'm learning from him too. So it's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
And I like to learn from everyone. People who have no experience, people who see the world like my sons, people who see the world with very, very little critical thinking still. I'm interested in that perspective as well. But I think that the biggest advice that I continue to give myself too, it's something that I have to be reminded, is going back to this idea of failure. And this is once you start managing people and managing situations. And this is an advice that my business partner gave me. And we tend as entrepreneurs to try to micromanage and control everything, every detail, because we have a vision and we see a picture and that's what we want. And when you grow, obviously you're going to have to trust. You're going to have to trust your managers. You're going to have to trust people that you empower to do jobs that you hire them to do. And sometimes you're going to have to allow them to fail, even though you're sitting there watching them and knowing that this is a bad call. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't intervene and you have to allow your people to fail themselves. Obviously, not in cases where it could ruin, a big thing, but allowing others to fail will humble people around you, and it's an important lesson that every manager, that every entrepreneur, that every person that is trying to build a business needs to internalize, because if you make decisions for everyone, first you can grow, but you also not giving people respect, and respecting people that work with you is very, very important. And I will tell you, I was the biggest sinner of not. Well, I respected people that worked for me. I was very, I wasn't a good manager. I interfered. I micromanaged because I wanted things to be done the way I wanted them to be done. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the lesson over the years that I really, really have learned from, is taking a step back, empowering people. And then it's a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. You knew that something was going to happen. And there is something also validating about your experience, knowing that shit's not going to work. And yet you allow it to fail, because then that person comes back to you and says, okay, what have I done wrong? Now you can actually teach a lesson. Now it's a conversation. Right. There's vulnerability in that. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the biggest lesson that I've had to learn for myself. Yeah. So.
And I love that you say the people I've empowered in those positions rather than the people I've employed to do those positions.
Yeah, words are important, right?
Yes.
And you attract a different type of person when you empower people. Like you have people, like that's why at your party you have 100 employees, but like those, you allow them to be themselves, be creative.
For the most part.
They're having a good time. Like they are smiling. They're happy to be a part of.
Well, you saw them at a party. They're not always.
Well, yeah, but like that was a great experience. So, and I did want to touch on that, and that's where I was headed next. Is like, again, I've met you a handful of times, and one of those was Elaia and Olio's 10-year anniversary, and
what a party, huh?
What a party! It was.
We were hurting on Monday.
I know. I had to go to work. I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is Sunday night.
She had to get up at 6 a.m.
But it
Wine
was
headache.
so fun, and you draw in such a great crowd.
It was amazing. Oh man, it was so much fun.
Yep.
Yes.
Anything and everything I could have asked for that day. It was very special. Both parties, the one that you guys didn't get to attend, the dinner at Elaia
there and everything.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Getting the proclamation. I mean.
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening in, look and tell you how amazing of a gift I got from our amazing mayor, the Honorable Tishara Jones, who happens to be a friend of mine, so I'm biased. But she's look. You want to tell them? Or you want me to tell them?
Yeah, I'll tell them. So 11/11 is Elaia and Olio Day forever.
Yes, Ben Poremba Day.
Ben Poremba Day.
Yeah. You told me originally it was Elaia Olio, and then I saw the proclamation. I'm like, it says Ben Poremba. I was like, that's badass.
That's pretty cool.
That's special. I mean, 10 years, and especially in that neighborhood. So I kind of want to shift towards the neighborhood because, we didn't grow up in that area. We grew up in St. Charles, but that area I heard wasn't always so beautiful and thriving. So you decided to plant your flag there 10 years ago. I mean, was there a specific feeling you got when you were in that neighborhood, or was it you just saw the potential immediately?
Really, we could have a whole podcast just dedicated to urban renewal and that sort of in that subject. I will only say this: I was worried about my businesses when I started in that neighborhood. I wasn't so much focused about the neighborhood, but seeing the kind of impact that a small business, an anchor, could have on its surrounding is become kind of a model for me. You have to be very mindful of the people that live there. You have to be very mindful of the community. You have to respect the history of where you are, and that's the fine difference between small business development, being community focused entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, and then being a gentrifier, just putting businesses in places that just are cheap and are cool and are trendy with disregard to who lives there, to what the history of the places were. So there's a whole, and I've had to face some of those questions from people. You're just another gentrifier. You're putting a fine dining restaurant in a place that most people that live here can afford, and all those things. And I had to really justify to myself, what am I doing, and articulate really what we're trying to accomplish. And that's why multiple businesses was very necessary, because I wanted to give everyone a chance to experience that neighborhood. That's why we've opened a lower cost place like Olio and Shuket, a morning time place, having AO&Co where you can come in and grab a coffee. So all these businesses, the idea with them is not just a variety of businesses, it's a diversity of businesses. It's the idea that you can come in here for whatever reason, with whatever income level, and still experience that neighborhood. So I'm very big on community engagement and making sure that your business is part of a neighborhood and it's not just an island in and of itself. But yeah, that neighborhood wasn't great, and it wasn't great. If we want to talk about it, I mean, politically, because of systemic racism. I mean, plain and simple. There's no other explanation as to why this neighborhood. There was lack of resources, intentional lack of resources. Disregard, but when designing those two highways that went right through the neighborhood, chopping it off. So for years and years and years, blight and poverty and intentional disregard and would foment crime and would foment all those bad things that
I didn't
we
even
know.
think about the highways,
Well
but
said.
I notice that every time I leave.
Well
there.
said.
Yeah, very well said. And every time I leave there, I notice the highway. I'm like, why isn't there a highway that you could just pull on right there? And go up to Shaw. But I mean,
have you ever seen the height of the wall of the Botanical Gardens?
the height of the wall.
The height of the wall of Botanical Gardens.
Yeah.
If you didn't know Botanical Gardens is rebuilding and improving, but for years it was a 9-foot wall around Botanical Gardens. It's as if it was an island in whatever.
Yeah,
There's
right
a reason
there where
for
Shaw
that.
meets Botanical Gardens right there. Yeah.
So that tells you, that alone for me just tells you, it was a beautiful neighborhood to start off with. It had a beautiful park. It had the Botanical Gardens. It had money. You can see the architecture right around there. But yet at some point, somebody erected this huge wall as if we were just touch and go. Create that divide.
Yeah.
So, but that's a subject in and of itself,
Sure.
right? So
that's an amazing a way to look at it, because when you first moved there, you're like, did you have the mission? I mean, were you at the point where you're like, I want to plant my like I said, plant my flag in this neighborhood, or was it, obviously you had all those other places around there, but that wasn't the vision 10 years ago, and this was what, 2012?
Yeah, well, the vision 2010 is when I looked at it and signed the lease, right? On Olio. So no, I had a vision. Honestly, I really wanted to do more than just one thing. I was, you could say, hungry for doing things. You know, I harbored all these mental notes and ideas. I just wanted to explode. You know, I was ripe for that. But so early on, I saw things not. Obviously, I opened Olio and Elaia, and I was focused on that. But I already knew that I'm going to do more things, and what I did there was in with that perspective in mind. Mm-hmm. So you hire more people, and you're not thinking about being profitable in year one, and you're not, because you say, I'm going to grow. I want to build a basis for growth.
Right.
It was a mature perspective for someone who just started a business, and it was very naive because I could have failed, and
we started 2 restaurants at one time.
Well, and Shuket.
Oh yeah, and
so
Shuket.
3.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
And then
That
old
wasn't
standard.
stressful at all.
And I moved and had a baby. You know, Olio and my baby is the same age.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
3 months difference.
Whew.
So you were
Oh my
busy. You were
gosh.
like, I mean, wow. I think I work a lot, but like you were probably seriously working 20 hours a day, and being a new dad and moving and and investing every dollar that you had.
Yeah.
How do you balance?
I
How
don't.
do you balance family and work?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
The pandemic in that regard was the biggest blessing of my life,
You got
because
to spend time.
it forced me to slow down. It forced me to have a different kind of perspective. I got to meet my kids. I'm not saying this as something that I'm I'm ashamed of it.
Sure.
Honestly, this is not something that I wear, that I say lightly. But I got to meet my kids, and I got to meet Angela again, and I got to have a family again. And now it was a blessing. It was a gift. And I bought a house. We never had time to buy. We never had time to get married. We never had time to buy a house. We never had time to do shit, because it was all business, ben, business, ben.
Right.
And no, it just completely shuffled everything. Shuffled my priorities. So
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
so
I think a lot of people discovered
Yeah.
their partners themselves
Right.
during that
Engaged.
time.
We got engaged, October 20, so like 6 months in. We were like stuck in the house for 6 months, and I'm like, I can
I
marry
loved
you.
it.
I can marry
I
you.
loved the one-on-one time.
Yeah.
I did. It was fun.
it's
was.
pressure testing, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's pressure
Lived in
testing
a small apartment,
your
cooped up.
Did you like it, Luke?
I loved it, babe.
survived it.
It was great.
But I
You
quit
made
my
it.
job. I quit my full-time job.
Which was what?
February. I was selling car insurance and not happy at all. And,
Miserable.
yeah, very, very
Miserable.
unhappy. Making fine money.
I think I'm going to quit. Okay.
And then I quit in February, and then the pandemic hit that next month, and I was like, "Oh, this is great! Now I have no money, no clients." I had one client, and I was making like $500 a month, and she was in college, so that was pressure testing. And then
I was holding down the fort.
6 months later, we got engaged and had a wedding. It happened quickly, and I'm not, it's crazy, but I get what you're saying, because there are times when I'm at home and I'm either on my phone or on my computer, and Marissa's like, spend some time with me, and it happens both ways.
I was like, I haven't been here for 3 weeks because I've been working
And
so
she's
hard.
busy,
So
too.
it happens.
And you're a
both.
teacher?
Yeah. It's just
They work-
grading
You're
and
teaching what?
English.
What grade?
Freshmen and sophomores.
In high school?
Mhm.
Oh my God.
So she grades papers,
So
a
many
lot. They
people.
do a
I
lot
just
of work.
caught up on papers from Thanksgiving.
You look like you're in high school. You know that. I mean, not to
I
be
had
cliche.
$1.
If she had $1 for
I
that.
had
yeah.
$1. No,
For everyone who says
that
it.
all the time.
Marisa is definitely the hottest teacher.
Yes, she is. Yeah, she's the hot teacher.
Oh my God.
Yes, you guys.
I would
The
stay.
kids love to come see Marisa. I want to sign up for
yeah.
English class.
No, but she has tutoring on Monday. She said the whole class was filled. I'm like, they stayed after school
No,
for
not
tutoring.
after school. It's during Ag Lab.
So they call me Miss Farrell.
Miss Farrell.
Oh wow.
Except for the kids who had me last year, they still call me Miss Thomas. I mean Miss Farrell. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, they get it confused. She misses her old name, Miss Thomas.
Yeah, because no one struggled with how to spell it. Now they're turning in papers spelling my name wrong.
Yeah.
Ferr. I'm like, it's Fa. I never had this issue when my last
Yeah.
name was Thomas. No problems there.
No,
That's cute.
Funny.
I have a question though for you, Ben. If you had to work at one restaurant of your family of restaurants in one position every single day for 40 hours a week, like if you had to, there's no option, you have to work at one spot.
Well, that's super hypothetical. There's always an option.
Okay. Well, in a unhypothetical, way, like if you
I quit.
You quit.
Not about.
You're like, man, this job sucks. I need to pay this more. But like, no, like if just
I can't do that. I can't do a single job. It's just not. It's impossible
oh wow, so
For you.
yeah,
for me. Impossible.
to just sit like just clock in, boom,
Impossible.
8 hours, leave.
Never.
Boom.
Impossible.
Where do you spend the most time?
I spend the most time at AO&Co because my office is up, above it. I've spent a lot of time these past couple months at Bar Moro. I used to spend most of my time at Olio. I hardly spend any time at Olio, but I do spend some time at Elaia because I still am very intimately involved in designing those menus. And that's where I still put the most amount of cooking work, So cooking at Elaia would probably be the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Just that's where I get to be really, really creative and
Right. And that's where you work the most already anyways.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of time off because you wouldn't be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
right. Well, Wednesday we do wine dinners at Elaia. We just took a break from wine dinners because we opened a new
going.
restaurant.
To a wine
So.
dinner. How's Bar Moro going?
It's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Everything was delicious.
It's very busy.
The vibes are immaculate. I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
So.
Look,
I need to
know.
get those
Take notes.
cod croquettes.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't we love those? We had like 4 orders of those. And the Gen program there is fire too.
Everything.
gin and
I had
tonic.
a couple G&Ts there and
Yeah.
it was good. I can't wait for warm weather again out there though. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
and that's another example of a neighborhood. Like they call that the hottest neighborhood in St. Louis.
It probably is. Yeah.
That's what they call it, the hottest dining neighborhood in St. Louis, So no, that's I am taking notes.
I think
owe you a date
I'm fortunate to be in two of the most exciting culinary destinations in St. Louis. One is Stargrove and McCree. Not just because of our stuff, but because Union Loafer and Indo's there. And then obviously our stuff. And then Why Down with having a car and the bistro with Aaron Martinez and the Galinas, and then Matt McGuire just opened up his place. So I think that it's super cool to be in two spots that are really there's an amazing concentration of quality food.
Right, all in a
Definitely.
compact area
Yeah.
where you can walk, and I love your
The
neighborhood too.
best. When
Yeah.
you can just walk. It's very like New York.
Yeah. Well, I read something about the woman that used to own the spot where you're in now, of like how she like.
Well, she owned all those spots.
Oh, she did. So I read something of like the bistro, which used to be called something else. Like
Bar
it
Le
was supposed to
Frere.
be like
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be like a spot to get wine before you went, or like she created this like.
Yeah, she was my mentor
Yeah,
and one of my closest friends.
that was one of our questions. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Zoe Robinson is, without a doubt, one of the most impressive restaurateurs in America, in my opinion. Definitely in St. Louis, her impact is immense. And she wasn't a chef; she was a restaurateur. When restaurateurs, were, now we're in the age of chef restaurateur. But there was an age where restaurateurs were their own thing and had their own vision. And Zoe classed up the restaurant scene in St. Louis by a mile because she was the most detail-oriented and design-focused person that I know. And she's really the person that instilled this idea of set design, that our restaurants are sets, that, guests and employees are participants in a show in their own stage all the time. Not only the employees, but also the guests. Yeah. They walk in here, they're part of that set. So as a good set designer, you got to set it up in a way that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so it's music, it's lighting, it's obviously interior design, it's graphics, it's floral arrangements, it's everything.
Right. Everything matters.
Silverware.
So she really was the master of that and taught me a lot. And we opened Bar Le Frere and Olio a day apart. Mm-hmm. She was supposed to open on 11/11, just like I was.
Yeah.
But I had a party on 11/11. I said, open it on the 12th because you have to come to my opening party. And she did.
And then open the next day?
She opened the next day.
Wow. Same exact, like literally the next day after
the
that
next
party.
day. She opened 11/12 and I opened 11/11.
Wow.
And our friendship grew really close when we were both opening Olio and Bar Le Frere, because we both love antique shops and we both love auctions and estate sales and garage sales and all those things. And we just went to all those together to shop for our restaurants. And so we became really, really close. I bought things for Bar Le Frere and she bought things for Olio, because it was different aesthetics. But so, I'd see something super cool and says, "Hey, I bought you this." And
that's awesome.
so it was a very fun
That's special
relationship that started a really special time. So
that's special.
and she was there supportive of me, obviously when I opened up Parigi, which was in Clayton, that's the restaurant, one of the restaurants that failed. And she was there to hold my hand and to encourage. And so,
yeah, it's good to have people like that. And we had somebody on our show, Maxine Clark. We had her on probably like 6 months ago. We had her on like in the first time.
I love Maxine, by the way. She's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know that I'm opening my Jewish deli in her.
That's where I was
Del Mar
leading in
Divine.
Yeah. So I wanted to lead into that because Maxine does amazing work for the city of St. Louis, and her impact is so great. She's, she on our episode, she talked about the Del Mar Divine, her space that she's creating, and now the Deli Divine.
Yeah.
Not many
Did she
people
talk about it?
Did she talk about? Yeah, she talked about it when she toured it. She's like, "Do you know Ben?" And this was before I knew
we
you.
got to tour it.
This was before I knew you, and I was like, "Yeah, I know him." Or like I heard.
Isn't that
you.
crazy? That was summertime that
we
we
went there.
interviewed, and now you guys are.
We went there in the summer, and she was like, "This space right here," and we didn't like go in it because she had just got flooded or something when we toured it. So like a lot of stuff was.
Really bad.
But like, tell us about another restaurant. I mean, you just opened Bar Moro. You know, now you have Deli Divine. Tell us about that concept. Tell us about.
So Deli Divine is a concept that I've been working on since 2015. I wanted to do this, not Del Mar Divine, Deli Divine. The idea of a Jewish deli was something I teased back in 2015. I did a bunch of pop-ups, but could never really get around to doing it right. And Maxine convinced me to do it at the Del Mar Divine.
Yeah.
For all the right reasons. It's a little bit of a schlep for me. It's far away from all the other restaurants. It's actually kind of far from my home. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a nice destination. I think that, even symbolically being north of Del Mar was really, really important. I don't know if she told you, but when she signed all these what's called community benefit agreements. So she's, unlike a lot of developers, she actually has people from that community, people who live in that community, part of the advisory board, and they get to vote on whether a certain business can go in or not, because they said, you're developing this as part service to the community. And so when she told them that a little bit about my concept, she got 100% vote of confidence. They loved it. They loved the idea. People from the community, because it's a market and it's a deli and the price points are not going to be crazy and it's relaxed, but also it ties into the history of that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you knew this, but that stretch of Del Mar, just north of Del Mar, Enright and Etza roads between Union and say Hodiamont, was overwhelmingly Jewish in the turn of the century. Mm-hmm. In the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Many people that went to high school, many Jewish people that went to high school in the 50s and 60s probably went to Solon High School. It was known as the Jewish High School. Mm-hmm. So that area was overwhelmingly Jewish.
Predominant, yeah.
And probably had about 10 or 12 different delis. There's very little evidence of it now, but I believe in those kind of cosmic providence kind of scenarios. So it made sense. It made sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun project.
We're talking about mile high pastrami sandwiches. Mm-hmm. We're talking about matzo ball soup. We're talking about smoked fish and latkes and all those things that just are
perfect lunch. You should have seen the menu. It's
breakfast
like on this
and lunch.
Big newspaper.
Yeah, don't reveal all the secrets now.
Well, this is coming out. This will come out later, like real close to when at the end of this month, December. So
Just hush for now.
it's all top secret.
But yeah, it's gonna be, and this is weird, but people don't understand me. So the people that are building this right now, I keep telling them I want it to look ugly, and they go, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yes, the aesthetics of this place needs to be ugly." They just think I'm crazy, right? Yeah, I'm picking this color because it needs to look ugly, but I really want to have this built-in deli feel. I don't want it to look sexy and modern. I want it to look like it's been there forever. Yeah. So
to pay homage to the 50s.
Yes,
40s,
I mean, it's just part of, again, it's part of that show. You walk in, and if it's too corporate looking, if it's too
it doesn't feel warm.
It doesn't feel right. And so it's going to look kind of crazy. I mean,
can't wait to see it.
Kind of like right out of a Wes Anderson movie in a way. So,
I like it. I like the colors and photography that Wes Anderson does and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
That's so funny. So besides Israeli food, right? What other cultures or food, like what's your favorite?
Oh, wow.
Because you've been to New York, you went to Italy, like I don't know where else.
I get obsessive about food culture, and I just try to exhaust as much as I can. Mm-hmm. But I'd say, generally speaking, this idea of Southern Mediterranean, which is all I cook. I cook it at Olio. We cook it at Bar Moro. This is the food that I love the most. So, if you think about the Mediterranean as one single region, as opposed to the countries that are, so we talk about Italy, we talk about Southern Italy, and we talk about, the islands, Sardinia and Sicily, and we talk about, just right there in North Africa, and we talk about Southeast France, and we talk about the Mediterranean coast of Spain. That's my food. That's what I love. We're talking about olive oil, and we're talking about all just this warm weathered kind of, it just, you could just see it, right? But I love Mexican food, and I've been exposed to Mexican food culture, which in America now more and more people are exposed to it. But when I moved here, and for a very long time, it's very flat. This idea of gringo food, right? It's this taco with this cheese, and it's covered, and it's covered with sour cream and shredded lettuce, and it's like, where is the diversity? Everything tastes the same, and it's all this spicy. And no. There's so many nuances, and there's so many regional differences, and I've been exposed to it through people who work for me, and it's the kind of cuisine that we try to explore at Nixta, and I just love it. It's so rich and interesting. I can go on. Should I keep telling you what I love?
I'm getting really hungry.
Obviously Italian food, but Italian food doesn't exist, right? It's all regional food. So I love, I lived in Parma, and I love the food from that region. Mm-hmm. I love Sicilian food. I thought he was waving at me. But I also like Japanese food, and kind of, not simplicity. What am I trying to say? Deceivingly simple, straightforward preparations that are so concentrated and so intense. Mm-hmm. I like it all. I mean, who am I kidding?
We like food.
Oh shit, I like it all. Turkish food is by far and Moroccan food, which my mom is from Morocco. I didn't even talk about that. Mm-hmm. Persian food, because I like it all. Honestly, I like it all.
So keeping on the food topic, I mean, there's obviously some hot spots in town. I mean, do you have a spot in town that you really like, or you like, or if there's other chefs or stuff that you would be like, they're really crushing it over there?
Yeah, I mean, shit, this city's got an unbelievable food scene, right? It makes my life hard. I got to compete, which I love.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just a testament on how improved and amazing things have gotten in St. Louis over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Not to say that before we didn't have it, but it's really kind of like a quiet ninja, St. Louis is. I mean, I'd put it against any town. I mean, I just came back from San Diego, and it's a beautiful city, amazing. We went to all the best restaurants. I've had one of the best food experiences of my life. But really, we've tried all the trendiest, newest stuff. And St. Louis compete and maybe is better in a lot of those categories. I would say we just don't get the national exposure, not enough of it. But what do I love in St. Louis? I gotta give a shout out to one of my favorite people, the Afghani brothers over at Samim. I don't know if you've ever been to Samim on Manchester.
Oh,
They serve Afghani food. Their food is magical.
Manchester in the Grove?
In the Grove,
okay.
yeah. Many years ago, they used to have a restaurant on Grand. Fahim and Qayyum are two brothers who started this. Their life story is amazing. At some point, you should have them on that podcast because talk about triumph and tribulation. Talk about struggle and an experience, a life experience that would humble anyone, let alone our comfortable American lifestyle. I mean, these people really had to endure, So, but anyways, their food is really, really amazing. It's Afghani food, which is a cuisine that I wasn't exposed to, but it's so delicious. It's kind of like a hybrid between Indian and Persian, which are some of my favorites, but they do a really nice job. I love Peacemaker. I think that's a super cool, fun concept that many cities don't have, and they do such a nice job there. It's so great. I love so many things. I love Indo. I love what Nick is doing at Indo and Nippon Tea. I think he's probably one of the most talented dudes in the country, and to think that he's so young and so ambitious. He's gonna dominate for years to come.
Yeah, I do love Indo too.
Huh?
We love Indo.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But I'll tell you, I want to mention also a couple of things that are not trendy. They're very busy, they're very popular, but they're not trendy, and you won't read about them in any of the listicles that all of our critics put out. Places like Charlie Gito on the Hill. It's been around for 40, 50 years.
We've gone for our anniversary every year.
We go once a month. It's my kid's favorite restaurant. They'll tell me this straight up. Usually he'll say, "We're sorry, Abba, but Charlie Gito is our favorite." It's very cute, but the food is delicious, and it's something.
The service is incredible.
Yeah,
coat check, the
everything. It's a. I just love it. It's an experience of the past, and they still continue to do amazing business. On the subject of the Hill, I love Adriana. I love her so much, and I love this family.
Sandwiches are like this big, and
but it's a story. It's the people. You taste it in the food. Yeah. I don't know if you know that story. They would be a great people on your podcast. Yeah. It's a mother and her daughters who started this, took a huge chance, and they all work in it, and they all invested in it, and it's a real life story. It's a real human story, and we love it. Those meatballs, that meatball sandwich is unbelievable.
They always have a soup of the day, and like every time I walk in there, whoever is at the counter, it's always the same lady. She is so happy to see me, and she's like, "I'm happy to see you again." She doesn't know my name, but she like recognizes the face. That's the same feeling I get at AO&Co. Like right when I walk in there, like everybody's looking at you saying, "Oh, hey, how you like good to see you," and then it's just
friendly.
It's just
familiar.
a vibe, and AO&Co is like. I just love it there. I just love everything about it, and I love that your offices are all there. It's just like a compound, and like I tell her this all the time. Like, and we talked about it the other day. Is like it's literally like a playground for adults. You have everything you need.
So my buddy Kevin Brennan, who owns Brennan's, he was also I consider him an early mentor of mine. I worked with him. I opened Brennan's with him, and he says, what does he call it? I always butcher this, but let me think. Oh, unnecessary essentials, which I think is so well put. It's the kind of stuff that you don't really need, but you really must have.
I do like that, unnecessary essentials. Yeah. Because you go in there, you're like, I actually do need that, and
you don't need any of it, but you must have it.
You have to have it. You have to.
That perfume, I might need that. Oh, that $2,500 bottle.
Do you know about my perfume?
Yeah,
Yes.
You sprayed some.
Did I spray it on you?
Yeah. Well, you sprayed it in the air, and then we walked through it.
Yeah.
Did
I pose it on you?
Kate brought some home.
Yeah, you said you liked it. It was good. It smelled really nice.
Yeah.
Christmas.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
No,
It's kind of crazy that I created a perfume.
it is, and cigars.
That's awesome.
And, your private label wine with Luciano, and like he's out and like all over the world, like finding these, wines for Bar Moro, and like the people, like if they knew everything that went into, what you're creating, like you said, you're making a movie for somebody for just one night. Like every night is a new movie, and every night is a new crew, a new cast, and it's just the restaurant industry, hospitality industry in general is like those people just hold a special place in our heart. Like we are just always so excited to tip. We're always just so excited to see them and talk to them, because like people, unless you worked in it, and we did for a little bit, but like she did longer than me, like serving and stuff like that. It is a really, and same with teachers. Like there's a lot of like, jobs that are very, very important.
100%.
So last but not least, we can put that on social. We'll do a clip of who you would have coffee. I'll do a Photoshop picture of you and somebody at the restaurant with coffee.
Yeah. Have the AO&Co cup right there.
Yeah, right. And I'll put somebody in there. But other than that, I mean, what does St. Louis mean to you? I mean, I know we've touched on neighborhood, we've touched on all that, but it just seems like you're from here, you grew up here, but like you're not from here, but you grew up here, but like you love this city. Like tell us what St. Louis means to you, and
I mean, it's home, right? And home, you gotta. I don't know what you do at your own home, but
take care of your people.
You gotta take care of it, and if you don't take care of it, it's not gonna take care of you. So, you gotta take care of the people. You gotta take care of the streets. You gotta by streets, I mean, I walk around, people always tell me this, what are you doing? Because I'll walk around our neighborhood and I'll pick up trash, and it's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm here,
I see it.
There's not an invisible hand that's going to come in and pick it up if I don't do it, or if you don't do it, somebody else. Mm-hmm. So you got to root for it. You want people in St. Louis to be successful and get on the national, it's... You gotta root for it. You gotta be ambassadors for it. We bash St. Louis all the time. Every opportunity that we have. I said people from St. Louis. It's kind of like masochistic. I mean, we self-destruct like that. But we cannot also. We have to confront what St. Louis is and the problems that we have. It's a very violent fucking town. And sitting and sipping coffee at Olio, or having a cappuccino at AO&Co after your yoga, and saying, well, we don't see any violence here, is tone deaf, because St. Louis is violent and it is poor, and there are areas and places in St. Louis that really, really need attention. And I don't want to turn this into political propaganda here, but I think we finally have an administration in the city of St. Louis that is going to shift priorities. And it's going to say, we've focused on the Central Corridor long enough. We focused on the Central West End and on Shaw and all these places where, frankly, white people live. And it's time to look up north. It's time to look at places that never got the love and the cooperation from the city. We focused on downtown so much. There's billions of dollars in development over the years. So I think that we need to see the long game, and there's got to be cooperation, political cooperation. I think that there's got to be some public and private collaboration. I think that business people in St. Louis need to work with the city to make it better, not walk away from it, but work with it, right. And so that's what St. Louis is. I mean, what it means to me, I mean, it's my home. So that's,
I like that. That was a great answer.
Leave it at that.
Great way to end the podcast. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the STL Bucket List Show. My guy, Ben Poremba, dropping knowledge and facts and passion, and just really going to be a good episode for years to come. So.
Yeah, it's a great episode. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to Half Coast for cutting up a nice episode, putting it on Spotify, Google, YouTube, and of course my friend Kevin over at Four Hands. Anytime we're thirsty.
My friend Kevin over at Four Hands.
My friend Kevin at Four
Does he give you beers to put on your podcast? No.
I don't have a podcast.
Not yet.
But I don't know if you guys know that Kevin and I own a business together.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
You know about it?
I heard about it.
Kevin is truly one of the biggest assets this town has.
Huge.
That this town has.
Phenomenal.
Big heart, incredible
He
mind.
constantly gives back.
The man gives back. The man is one of the best ambassadors that St. Louis has. So
Truly is. We're proud to have them on sponsor.
I'm proud to call him a friend.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good guy. Really good guy. His episode's really good. I got to send you the link to that. You should
I'd
listen
love to
to
see
it.
that. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, you should listen to it. And then Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis, another great ambassador for St. Louis because arts is so important. More people come to St. Louis for arts than they do for sports, which sounds crazy because we have these big stadiums, but more people go out to the Fox, the Muni. On a yearly basis, more people go.
Smaller venues.
Yeah, all the smaller.
Is that right?
Yeah, more people travel to St. Louis.
I love
for
hearing
arts.
that. I love hearing that.
We have a huge art. We take it for granted, the spaces that we have, especially like, you have these amazing spaces, but these small venues all through Grand Center, all these venues of like amazing art, amazing, whether it's galleries, whether it's performance. But we can go on and on about the Regional Arts Commission. They're just such a good partner and they directly fund these artists as well. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.